Hello everyone, I hope all of you are doing well. So today I'm going to teach you how to learn economics for UPSC and how to more effectively and efficiently learn it so that you can retain it for a longer time and you can understand it in a better way. So for economics for UPSC, you can divide the syllabus in main three topics. These are the top kind of bigger level topics in which you should divide your UPSC syllabus into. First is the basics of economics, basic concepts of economics, which UPSC asks every year. The second is the developmental topics. These are the topics mostly asked in mains exam. These are the topics mainly asked in prelims exam. And then the third ones are the policy topics, which are mainly also asked in the mains exam. So what are the basic economic concepts that you need to know for UPSC? Well, first of all, you need to understand the concept of supply and demand. This you can learn from NCERT. I'm going to also tell you the sources. This is the source page that I've created. I will post this on my community channel also, so you can refer it from there. But basically, first is the concept of supply and demand. You can learn this from NCERT microeconomics book of class 11th, which is a very simple and straightforward book. You don't need to really learn more than 2 chapters from that book, and I will show you which chapters as well in the laptop also. Okay, then these are the topic numbers 2 to 11 are the main topics. Even if you have not studied this topic, concept of supply and demand, you can just focus on 2 to 11 these topics if you find this topic a little hard or difficult or too mathematical for you. So what are these topics? Interest rates, inflation, monetary policy, fiscal policy, balance of trade, national income, the Indian banking and financial sector, economic growth basics, basically how economic growth is measured and how various methods have been developed in India to understand economic growth. Then after that, currency and unemployment. These 2 to 11 topics are the core topics for UPSC, which you should definitely know because it is from these topics that these questions are normally asked every year in prelims as well as in sometimes in main paper, but not really. In mains paper में इसमें से ज़्यादा नहीं पूछेंगे. They are not going to ask you too much from this in mains paper because these are theoretical topics. These are core economics topics. Where to read these topics from? I will tell you. This is our basically source page. NCERT, Murnal and Nitin Singhania are the 3 books that I recommend for UPSC studies for now. For NCERTs, you need 3 books. You need class 11th book, 12th book microeconomics and 12th book macroeconomics. For 12 there are 2 books and for 11 there is 1 book. But in class 11th book, you need to study all the chapters because all the chapters are important. I will show you. So if you come to the NCERT website, you can simply go to the NCERT website page. Then you can go and select the class and this 11th class book will come. In this book, you need to I will show you the prelims or the content, table of contents. Yes, here is the table of contents. First is Unit 1, which is about development policies and experiences of economic development from 1947 to 1990. So what was the Indian economy like on the eve of independence, then 1950 to 1990. Economic reforms on 1991. This is a very important chapter or unit. You should read this very carefully. Liberalization, privatization and globalization. LPG reforms इनको बोलते हैं. This you need to study very deeply. Then what are the current challenges faced by Indian economy? Poverty is there, human capital formation is there, rural development is there, employment is there, infrastructure, environment is there, and then what are the comparative development experiences of India compared to its neighbors. So all these chapters, there are 10 chapters in this book, about 200 pages book. All these you should read chronologically from chapter unit 1 to the final unit of this book. This is very highly recommended book. If you read this book properly, then there are some overlapping chapters both in Nitin Singhania book and in the Ramesh Singh book. You don't need to read them. You can just rely on the NCERT and skip. if you don't read NCERT, then you need to study those chapters from Nitin Singhania. What I used to personally do is I used to read the NCERT, then I used to also read some of these chapters from the other book so that I could revise. I could basically just revise that in a different way, in a different words, in different kind of layout it is given in some other book, because it's easier to revise it that way. So all the chapters from class 11th book, some relevant chapters from Nitin Singhania. For example, chapter number 6. So from this book, you need to study only a few relevant chapters for preparing for UPSC. But I have given you also a method to read Nitin Singhania here, which I will discuss later. Then class 12th. So this is as far as it comes to basics of economics. Not the basics of economics. For this, you need to study class 12th book. But for this part, you have to study the class 12th book. The ones that I told you right now covers mostly developmental and history of Indian economics, how Indian economic development has evolved from 1947 till today. So that is what you need to study NCERT class 11th book for. Very, very nice book it is. So these are the 3 pillars of basically self study for economics for UPSC. सेल्फ स्टडी करना है आपको, उसमें क्लास 11th की पूरी बुक पढ़नी है. Then नितिन सिंघानिया के relevant chapters which are given here, all the chapters are relevant anyways. Then class 12th microeconomics. For that you just need to download that book same on the online page, and you need to only selectively study chapter 1 and chapter 2. Okay, and you should try to use YouTube to complement the studying of these, because these are fairly technical chapters. These chapters are on mostly supply and demand and these topics. So you need to study these first and second chapters from class 12th micro more selectively. From class 12th macroeconomics book, you need to study chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are only 6 chapters in this book. Chapter first you don't need to study, but you need to study these chapters. And plus with that, you should also use the Nitin Singhania book, because this Nitin Singhania book will complement these chapters really well. The second thing is you need to study Mrunal. All lectures, they are given on the Mrunal website. You can download them. And you should also look at his lectures in case you don't understand this, or to supplement this. First, study these 3 things. After that, go ahead and look at Mrunal lectures. Don't directly dive into Mrunal lectures and think that you will have a good understanding. First, you should read from these 3 NCERT books, then come to Mrunal lectures. And also side by side, you should read the Nitin Singhania book. This is the sequence in which you should read the Nitin Singhania book. This is the first batch, second batch, third batch and fourth batch. So I have divided the Nitin Singhania book into 4 batches or 4 units. Chapter 6 to 11 is the first batch. 6, 9, 10, 11. This is the first batch, chapter 6, 9, 10, 11. Second batch is chapters 12, 13, 14, 15th, 19th and 21st. The third batch is 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. And the fourth batch is 16, 17 to 20. So these are the 4 batches in which you should divide this Nitin Singhania book. I recommend this Nitin Singhania book over the Ramesh Singh book, because Ramesh Singh book is very banking oriented. It is very intense, very deep dive book. And if you start reading this as a non-economics or non-commerce student, you will find it very difficult to cover all the topics. I therefore recommend that first you read these NCERT books, then study the Mrunal lectures, and then also something is left that you need to cover. Then only should you come to this Nitin Singhania book and then cover it. Otherwise, there is no use of really studying these so many books for economics. So much data, so much wide level of study for economics is not required. Now, so economics for UPSC developmental topics are agriculture, services, industry, banking, poverty, financial markets and infrastructure. These are all given in Nitin Singhania chapter by chapter. They're also given in NCERTs. So you can refer to them from Mrunal also. For policy topics, these are mostly current affair topics. So what are these? These are current affair topics. These are economic planning, Niti Aayog reports, budget, economic survey and privatization topics. These you have to study through current affairs, through newspapers, and through the reports that come. Now, economic survey, you don't have to study in so much detail. That is normally, the economic survey is a very thick document. Normally what I used to do was simply just pick up the economic survey summary and budget summary, which used to come in 7-8 pages, 10 pages, 20 maximum 20 pages from Vision IAS or from any other coaching institute of repute. So I used to study just that, because just understanding the gist is enough. If you start reading the entire survey, it will take you 6 months to read that only, because it's such a heavy document. Okay, so this is the economics for UPSC, various 3 pillars of topics that you need to study, and these are the 3 pillars for the sources that you need to really go for. More than this is not required. It's very simple if you just follow this particular strategy. Now let me show you some old paper questions also, and you might recognize then what I'm talking about. So I will go to G section, which is the economic section. So if you look at the questions here, previous year prelims questions, which one of the following is likely to be one of the most inflationary in its effects? See, now I have studied the syllabus of UPSC. I have written down the main topics I need to study, and then I can match it with the syllabus also. I know I have to study inflation, and this is a question on inflationary in its effect. So this is a question on inflation. So I should definitely study this inflation chapter, this inflation topic in such a way that I am able to answer theoretical and analytical questions like these. Similarly, they have asked a question on black money. Now black money, obviously it is not given here. It will not be really covered that well in any of the books also, so that you can come to this later. Then they have asked about devaluation of currency. Of course it happened, that's why it is in, they are asking urban cooperative banks. So this is a question on banking, and banking sector, when you study, you should be able to cover urban cooperative banks topic. Similarly, they are asking you about unemployment and employment here. So that also you are going to cover in the unemployment chapter. So similarly, you have to study various topics of UPSC. They ask you questions on agriculture. So let's say they are asking you a question on, here the question is on DCCB. I'll take some shorter question. What is the minimum statutory minimum price for sugarcane for each sugar season? Sugar and sugarcane are essential commodities under Essential Commodities Act. So this will come from where? This will come from policy topics from current affairs that you are reading, because this must have been in news back then. That's why they are asking this question. So this is how you go back and forth to the old papers, your topics, so that you can get an understanding ki padhna kaise hai, how to study, what are the kind of questions UPSC is asking, so that you can analyze these questions and accordingly frame your studies. Do some Google search accordingly on Google also, so that you can frame your studies. You can do some reverse engineering and understand how to study that particular subject. So I hope this video helped you to understand how to study economics. I would suggest you can get this book. This book I got it from my brother. He generally uses it to teach economics to his students, but I find it very intense and very long. But it covers everything, but I think it's too long. So that's why I tell you that you can focus on these 3 sources: NCERTs, Mrunal, and chapters from Nitin Singhania, so that you can cover this entire economics syllabus easily. So if you have any questions, let me know. Happy to help. I might have missed something. Happy to help. Take care and bye bye.